In the 1960s, Cold War paranoia dictated policy. The CIA was desperate for reliable intelligence, but their traditional spy networks were struggling to penetrate the highest levels of the Soviet government. The biggest blind spots were Soviet embassies. These facilities were heavily guarded. Human agents couldn't slip inside unnoticed, and standard electronic bugs were usually swept up by security teams within hours. The agency needed a listening device that could move independently, power itself, and slip past elite guards without raising suspicion. That problem was handed to the CIA's Office of Research and Development. With traditional methods failing, the agency entered a period of extreme experimentation. The pressure to close the intelligence gap meant that even the most eccentric ideas were given a green light. In 1961, they launched Project Acoustic Kitty. It was a $20 million initiative to surgically transform a living house cat into a mobile surveillance platform. The rationale was that a stray cat wandering down an alley or sleeping near an embassy would be ignored by security. It was a naturally inconspicuous asset that could bypass the most rigid checkpoints. To make this work, the CIA had to figure out how to integrate delicate Cold War hardware directly into a living animal. The project required a level of miniaturization that pushed the limits of 1960s technology. Veterinarians and technicians had to shrink complex radio components until they were small enough to be implanted without alerting the target. The surgery was invasive. Technicians implanted a microscopic microphone directly inside the cat's ear canal to capture local conversations. They then routed a thin antenna wire from the microphone, threading it along the length of the cat's spine to the tip of its tail. Finally, they placed a small radio transmitter and battery pack inside the chest cavity, creating a self-contained mobile listening post. Remarkably, the hardware functioned. The animal survived the procedure and behaved normally, and lab tests proved that handlers could receive clear audio from the cat's location. From a purely technical standpoint, the project was a success. They had proven they could build a functional, bio-integrated surveillance device. But the controlled environment of a laboratory is a poor substitute for the chaos of a city street. During field tests, the CIA encountered the wetware problem. Cats are motivated by instinct, hunger, curiosity, and predatory drives. The animal would often wander off or ignore its training to follow a bird or search for food. Despite these issues, the agency moved to a live test. They drove the cat to a park near a Soviet compound in Washington, D.C., intending to eavesdrop on two men sitting on a bench. The cat was released, but instead of walking toward the target, it wandered into the street and was struck and killed by a taxicab. In an instant, years of research and millions of dollars in specialized hardware were gone, all because the project failed to account for basic animal behavior. The agency officially shut down Project Acoustic Kitty in 1967. An internal review concluded that felines were simply too unpredictable to be used as reliable intelligence assets. The details of the failure were redacted and hidden for decades. It wasn't until the 2000s that declassified documents revealed the full scale of the experiment. Today, the CIA relies on tools that lack these biological variables, using drones, satellites, and cyber warfare to infiltrate secure locations without the risk of an asset wandering off. Acoustic Kitty stands as a clear illustration of where technology meets its limits. You can build a microscopic microphone, but you cannot rewrite the instincts of the animal carrying it.